Alright, so the cold hard truth is, my husband cheated multiple times, so you know what? I'm saying heck it. I'm getting my revenge one way or the other. My husband's cheated on me a total of 2 times, but I guess I should say 3 now. I did everything I could to be a good wife, gave him 3 beautiful children, and was loyal and faithful to him. Yet again, he proved to me he did not value me. He felt that it was worth it to throw our marriage away for the prettiest girl who would bat her eyelashes at him. I find it difficult to admit, but I've been a fool. I should have left him many years ago. But now I'm 57 and separated from the only man I've ever been with since I was 18. My family's told me that I'm insane for leaving him when I'm this old, already with kids and no college education to speak of. But I feel like I've had enough and it's time for me to choose myself. He was my high school sweetheart, 3 years my senior. We got married as soon as I finished high school because I knew that I would be taken care of. He was working at his father's dealership, but a few years after that he had his own business. I gave him 3 children, a son and 2 daughters. I was there with him through every single struggle, making sure that he came home to a clean and happy home every single day. He never wanted me to work, which is not surprising with how old-fashioned our town was. So I was the doting housewife who took care of his children, cleaned his house, and supported him through thick and thin. There were times his business was struggling and we struggled for food to eat. But one would never guess that because I planted the food for us to eat, made clothes for his children to go to school, and never strayed. But he cheated twice. The very first time, I wanted to take my children and leave. I was so heartbroken and angry at him. He begged me to come home, lied to me, and told me that I wanted to hear, so I was back in his home again. I had no other choice because my parents only accommodated me and my children for a few days, before they told us they could not take care of a living man's family. The only advice my mother gave me was that marriage was hard, but I had to stick with my husband, no matter what. And I could not let a third person ruin our relationship. The woman he cheated on me with was the one who told me about it, saying that he told her that he was going to leave me. I went back home to him, but only on the condition that he should fire her since she worked for him. I truly felt satisfaction when he made sure that I was there when he fired her, as if she was the one who was wrong and had destroyed my relationship. The second time, I was nearing my 40s, and she was a friend of mine who had been recently divorced. She was the friend that I told all my marital problems to then, and she would go and have an affair with my husband. This time, I told everyone who told me to leave. But I told them to leave me the hell alone, because the last time that I listened to them, it did not work out so well. But he pulled me back in with the most manipulative thing. He fell ill and feared he would die, so he wanted me by his side. I did not just say my vows for show. I nursed that man back to health and in the process fell back in love with him. After his near-death experience, he apologized for the way he treated me, and told me he was going to change his ways from that day on. He came home on time, took me on all his business trips, and always let me know where he was. Slowly, my restrictions on him loosened, and we both had a very trusting relationship once again. I stopped suspecting every single woman that he talked to, and focused on other things. Soon, all our kids left home and it was just us. It was truly a lonely time for me, so I tried to get some hobbies. But the fire in my marriage was dim. He barely acknowledged me when he was home, and it was more like I was his glorified roommate. When I tried to stick up a conversation, he would be very dismissive. This was when I started investigating because I knew that something was up. It did not take me long to find out that he was in financial and legal trouble, being accused of corruption. They wanted to freeze all his assets that were in his name. I confronted him about it, which made me want the strongest man I knew. He started breaking down crying. He said that unless he got someone he trusted to put their name on his assets for a whole, the investigation concluded the house, the cars, and everything was going to be taken by the law. It had to do with his business, but everything was at stake. But he said that there was no one he could trust not to screw him over. That was when I had the brilliant idea for him to put everything in my name. He did always say what was his was mine all the time, and I wanted to help him no matter what the risk was. He was surprised that he did not think of such a brilliant idea. He said, of course, he would trust me as I've given him 3 beautiful children. Now would be the time to mention that his kids thought of him as a saint, because he always said yes to everything they wanted. As for me, I was a bit stricter, so they preferred him over me. That was the one reason I did not leave when I had the chance. I did not want them to hate me. You might be wondering, why did they not do the transfer for him? And that was the fact that they are more to lose than I did if things did not work out well. Well then, I got everything transferred to my name, including his investments, but he was still the person responsible for all his stuff. I did not have access to the accounts, etc. So then our 39th wedding anniversary came a few months after that. It was a big deal for me. We planned a romantic night at a restaurant and then spoiled ourselves with a night at the hotel. But the problem was he did not show up. I could not get a hold of him on that day, and even his office did not know where he was. I was worried sick, even called hospitals thinking that he was lying dead in a ditch somewhere. I had to cancel everything, spend my anniversary alone. He came home later that night, telling me he had an emergency business trip and was very sorry. It was more than just leaving me that night. It was the lack of communication and his change in diet. At his sudden obsession with how he looked. He thought I did not notice, but I saw he was trying his best to look much younger than he was. But I did not want it to be the truth. My heart had been through enough already because of my love for this man. I was not going to walk in on him with some woman or have her tell me that she was going to displace me. I took matters into my own hands and got the credit card statements for the last couple months, since everything's in my name. The statements spoke. They told me that his mistress was very young with expensive taste and liked to frequent a certain restaurant. I took his phone, searched it until I found her. He did not even try to hide it because he knew I would never touch his phone. Or so he assumed. I got her name and her picture. It did not take me long to find her. She was a 23-year-old girl who seemed to enjoy a party girl lifestyle from what I could see. My heart sank as I compared myself to her. My confidence took suck a knock. He did not love me anymore because I was not young. Even after all I've done and sacrificed for him, he continued to disrespect me. I stayed every time because I was afraid to be old and alone. I did not know a life without him, but I felt that a life with him was going to cause me even more heartache. When was I going to finally wake up? When he kicked me out and favored a younger wife? My kids were going to be fine. They were grown and would take care of themselves, but there was no one to take care of me. I did not even have experience working any day in my life because he made sure I remained powerless. But no more. I was going to do things my way. In the past, I dealt with the mistress and left my husband alone, but that had only enabled him to go and cheat again. Who knew how many times he's cheated, but I did not know. What about the times he put me in danger by just sleeping with anyone wearing a skirt? In a few days, he wanted me to sign over the property to him since he's been found innocent in the investigation. But with that discovery, I was going to take everything and clean him out. I would not give him back all those years he took away from me, but it would make revenge much sweeter. I reported fraud on the cards, saying that she used them to buy expensive clothing. I was notified and she was arrested, but could not afford bail. Enter her knight in shining armor, my husband. He came and asked me to withdraw some money which he needed urgently for business. I told him what happened with the cards and how we had traced the fraudster, and as soon as I mentioned her name, he looked like he was about to faint. And that was not all, because when he showed up to pay bail for her, guess who was waiting for him? Me and our 3 kids whom I'd filled in on what happened. They were adults and deserved to know what their father's truly up to. He came out with his mistress in tow, stopping dead when he saw that we were standing there staring at him. He had the nerve to try to explain that it was his friend. Little miss behind him asked him who we were, and I smugly told her I'm his wife. I did not even have to lift a finger because she started screaming at him. She could not believe that I got her arrested, then she slapped him and stormed off looking so angry. I'll never know if she knew about me, but the last look she gave me was one of fear. I hope that she leaves people's husbands from now on, because what I did to her is nothing compared to what another woman in my position would have done. As we all know, there's nothing worse than a woman scorned, and I was mad. Right there in front of the police station, I told him not to come home that night and that he was done making a fool of me. I did not even have the strength to be angry, and every word he said went over my head. He lost not only me, but our children as well on that day. The look in their eyes was pure heartbreaking, but I needed them to see what man they've been looking up to all their lives was nothing but a dirty liar. I loved him and only him for such a long time that I did not remember what it was like to not know him. I forgot how weightless and happy I was without this burden of being his wife, but that's all done now. I have everything in my name, and he has nothing. I told him nothing would make me give him back the property. It's my punishment for what he did to me, not once, not twice, 3 times. He got down on his knees to beg us all for forgiveness, but none of us wanted to hear it. My son told him that he lost all respect for him on that very day. Their relationship did not recover from that day, but even if they do get along one day, I'll not have a problem with it. That goes for all my children. They are not speaking to their dad anymore, but it's up to them if they want to forgive him. He went running to his family and mine because it's the past that they've intimidated me into going along with it. That's what they wanted. I've been the submissive daughter-in-law for far too long, but that's all over. The whole lot came and crowded in my living room, then tried to explain my whole marriage to me. They tried to tell me that I was doing was selfish and was going to embarrass them. They said I knew nothing about business and would lose all the money. They've been belittling me for so many years, and every time I allowed them to make me crack, but I had somehow found this new strength. My feelings for him had slowly died over the last few years, and all I had to show for it was regret and anger. It was me against a room of people against me, but I told them the cold, hard truth. No insults or threats fazed me. I was willing to die on that hill. I was not taking him back or giving him back his property, and legally, there was nothing to do but sue me. But how? He's broke. I told them I was capable of more than he and his family had given me the chance to be, and from now on, I was going to live for myself, and if they wanted to fight me, I could take them to court, but things would never work in their favor. My own family members turned against me and tried to make me believe that I was too old to start over. I would be alone because no one would marry or date someone my age. But my answer was that it did not matter because I loved myself. So they gave up and left me alone when they saw that I was unshaken by their blackmail. My husband hates me to the very core and does not hesitate to tell me every time he can. He's been saying that he's going to bring over the divorce papers for such a long time that I'm tired of waiting. I'm sure he's trying to make one last effort to get back his money, but he'll never get it back if I have anything to do with it. I do not care if he signs those papers today, tomorrow, or heck, next year. I've already divorced him from my heart a long time ago. He's a shadow of his former self, and I'm glowing. When I see him, he looks like he's been drinking his life away. I have no pity. I wasted away in his house wondering why he did not love me while he was out there enjoying his best life. As for myself, I'm in such a good place, doing what I want and living my life the way I want to for once. The business is thriving under the CEO that I appointed, proving his family wrong. I've cut off those who do not support me, and I only have some positive people in my life. I guess I got the last laugh over these long 40 years. So I'm so glad OP was the one who got the last laugh. The one thing that concerns me about this story is basically how stupid OP's husband was. He thought it was a good idea to put stuff in her name. Yeah, the same woman that he cheated on multiple times and treated like a doormat. I'm so glad she stuck it to him. Guys, let me know what you think about this story. Drop your opinions down below. Just know, there's a lot of people that watch these videos and you're not subscribed. It really helps out the algorithm, so please hit that subscribe button. Story number 2, my abusive husband got surgery to remove a brain tumor, and now he's completely different. I don't know if I should still divorce him. I'm 27, female, and been married to my husband for 4 years. We have a 3-year-old daughter. My husband was abusive to me from the beginning. He was also quite manipulative and convinced me, who already had very low self-esteem, that he was my only chance at love and that I could never find someone better. He also regularly physically abused me. Before the marriage, I tried to leave him once, but he stormed to my family's house and dragged me back into his car. He's even threatened to kill me if I ever left him again. I put up with all this abuse because I loved him. Also, he was a handsome, rich trust fund baby, so everything about him looked good on paper. But about 4 months ago, I decided I was tired of this abuse and secretly drew up plans to get divorced. Just about a month after that, my husband got an MRI after a head injury. It showed he had a brain tumor. He went into surgery to have it removed, but after the surgery, his personality is like night and day. He's more empathetic, compassionate. He doesn't hit me or yell at me anymore. He's even agreed to marriage counseling, which is something he would have never done. However, my sister still thinks I should get the divorce. She doesn't trust him, and is wondering if his quote new personality is all just an act, or if he'll revert to his old evil self over time. My sister said, quote, "You'll be better off living a life away from that guy who'll beat you up because he doesn't like dinner. Or the guy who once locked you in a closet just for an argument. But he's really, honestly, like a different person, and is actually remorseful of his past behavior. The other day, he started crying and apologizing when he saw the scar on my shoulder from when he pushed me into a bookshelf. Am I crazy for wanting to give our marriage a second chance? I love him even more now than I did before. But a part of me still wonders if this is all an act, or if he'd revert to his old self over time." Alright, so a lot of the comments are mentioning if it was in the frontal lobe part of his brain, then that can totally explain the sense of behavior change, as it's pretty normal when something's messed with on your brain. If you know anything about this, comment down below. Here's a similar story to the original post. There was this guy years ago. There was a normal guy until his 30s when he became sexually attracted to children. He attacked a child, got convicted, and they discovered a brain tumor in jail. He was operated and he stopped being a pedo, got probation, and was okay for 6 years. Until he started feeling that attraction again. Guess what? The tumor's grown back. Crazy stuff, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of that, or share your similar story. That's all the content I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful night. I'll see you in the next one. The latest Mr. Reddito producer, Christine Billings, Thank you so much for the support.